This is what's going on here right now, Danny.
Oh, it looks lovely. It's picturesque, like a Christmas card.
A little blizzard. We had a little. Yeah, it's sort of very Christmassy. We got a little blizzard going on again here. So it's like life in New York these days. Okay, now I'm going to go back in and sit down.
So this is Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to welcome back Lou DiBella for the latest edition of DiBella's Digest. And Lou, apart from the snow, the deluge of snow we've seen outside, how has your week been?
It's been a crazy week, Danny. I'm not really free to tell you the stories, but let me just tell you that in a week in a pandemic where I'm still not able to do shows in New York, I had one of the craziest weeks in boxing I've ever had. But people have to wait till my book comes out in a couple of years to learn about this week. But let me just tell you that I've actually seen a number of things in this past week that I'd never seen before in boxing. So it's never a dull moment.
All right. I won't probe any further on that. But there are a couple of subjects I want to get your unique insight on. And the first, as this is probably going to go
is one of them how great my boy Richard Comey looked? But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that. That wasn't on the agenda, but I'm happy to.
I'm sorry. Got a little. I'll defer to your agenda. Go ahead, Dan.
Oh, that's very kind. This is.
Oh, by the way, I'm sipping a little Snowstorm Jameson.
Lovely. That'll warm you up from the cold outside. Beautiful. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about Canelo against Avni Yildirim, because by the time this video goes out, it will be less than a week to go until that fight. How do you look at it as a success or failure? Like, what, as a fan and a boxing expert, what would you be looking for from that fight so it's not a bust?
I mean, look, I think it's always fun to be able to watch the number one guy in the game. And I do think that Canelo's the number one guy in the game. Yieldrum's pretty basic style-wise. I mean, except he is a real strong guy, and I don't expect him to go in knowing it's the opportunity of a lifetime. And while I don't give him a chance, I really don't. I don't think he's going to fold, and I think he's going to be aggressive. And you're not going to get Canelo. Canelo can't fight a big fight every single time out, particularly if he's looking to fight 4 times in a year. So I don't really, it's a mandatory. I don't have much of an issue with it. I think that there is some stuff that's decent on the undercard. I hope that, how do you assess it? It's an opportunity to see the number one guy in the game. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Will you be tuning in live or recorded?
If I don't have anything else at the moment I'm doing that's better. I mean, I'm certainly going to watch it, and I think I probably will tune in live. Yeah, I probably will.
And then I guess we're all hoping, kind of with our fingers crossed, that he doesn't get injured or any cuts or anything like that, headbutts, that kind of thing, so that he can be back out in May for a bigger fight.
If there's any danger in the fight, that's the danger. I mean, Yieldrum is aggressive. He bulls in. He's, it's not without risk. You get in there with another man that knows it's the opportunity of his lifetime. It's not like Yieldrum's totally incompetent. He's not in the same level as Canelo, but he's a professional fighter and he's a tough guy. He's a physically strong guy. I don't expect it to be a particularly difficult fight for Canelo, but I also don't expect it to be a joke.
Something else I wanted to ask you about, given your vast experience in the broadcast arena, is the current dilemma, although it's a nice dilemma to have, facing Eddie Hearn in the UK at the moment. So his contract, Matchroom's contract with Sky Sports, runs out this summer, and they're talking about renewing. But now DAZN have launched in the UK, as they have in many other countries. And I wish
I had this problem.
It's a nice problem to have. But Matchroom obviously already work with DAZN in a number of other markets, but not the UK. So now there's this dilemma in the summer, which way do they go? And I just wanted to get your insight into what you think the kind of advantages might be with each party.
I don't necessarily think that it's I don't think that it's necessarily the case that Eddie can't continue some kind of a relationship with Sky and still have the majority, a lot of his content on DAZN. I don't think it's impossible that they couldn't reach some kind of a balance between the two. So I don't think it's necessarily one way or the other. Look, Sky is, much more important. I don't think there's any question that there are more eyeballs on linear TV right now, but a lot of Eddie's stuff is pay-per-view too. And if DAZN's paying enough money, that pay-per-view content could move to DAZN. The other thing too is DAZN's a global app. So even if there's some Sky stuff, the rest of the world has to, there's television for the rest of the world or streaming for the rest of the world. So I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. I don't pretend to be in the middle of Eddie's business or really to know fully, how these deals would be constructed. But I would say don't discount the fact that he can maintain a relationship with both.
Are there advantages, in your view, of having all your content globally on the one platform?
I mean, it makes it simpler. However, there is something to be said for having a linear component on Sky and then having a streaming component on DAZN. I think I'm a believer in diversification, and I'm a believer in not having your eggs all in one basket. So if he were able to construct something that would satisfy both entities, I could see that road being taken. And I could also see that if boxing is big enough in the UK that if DAZN had all of Eddie's content, I certainly think boxing fans would run to subscribe. It's going to be a matter of DAZN and Sky assessing their needs, and then Eddie figuring out, do I try to come up with a balance between the two, or do I deal? Look, I don't see Eddie's deal with DAZN ending anytime soon. So the question is really going to be: is it going to be DAZN, or is it going to be both? And I don't really have much insight into which way it's going to go, but I wouldn't at all be surprised if it's not some kind of a mix of the two.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke to Eddie yesterday, and he said he's looking for a partner in the UK that's going to invest in the sport, which obviously means invest in Matchroom from his point of view. And the issue with Sky is that boxing is a small but relatively important part of their portfolio, but they do a number of other sports which bring in subscribers. DAZN, at least at the moment, is making boxing a focal point.
Yeah, but I could tell you something. I'm watching what DAZN's doing around the world, and I'm not pretending to have inside information. And believe me, Eddie knows more than I do about what's going on there. But I see deals they're doing in football around the world. I believe that they are going to diversify their portfolio of sports. I wouldn't be surprised if gaming doesn't become part of what they do in terms of sports betting. That wouldn't surprise me if there was if they entered that arena. I think that boxing's maybe more important, the more important piece of their pie right now than it is for Sky. But I also believe that they are going to diversify and that they will be less boxing centric as they presently are. I also don't necessarily know who really wants to, if I was a television entity or a streaming entity, I don't know how much I'd want to be invested in a promotional company.
Why is that?
Because that's not my job. It's and look, I've said this to you in many of our almost 50 conversations, and I just said this on Matt Macklin's podcast, and I've said it every time anyone's interviewed me over the last 20 years or 30 years. I don't believe that exclusivity or television entities or media entities owning promotional companies, I don't think that's a great way to make the best fights and the best product. I think an open marketplace is the best way to make the best fights and the best product. So I have no doubt that Eddie'd be able to find investment. I just, if I was a television entity or streaming service, I'd invest by buying product, but I don't think I'd invest by buying a promotional company. Who the fuck needs that?
Fair point. Before I let you go, you referred to it earlier, but I was remiss in not bringing it up anyway. Richard Comey did indeed look brilliant against Marinez last weekend, knocking on the door, I would say now already, of another world title shot. Where would you like to see him go to get that? Teofimo has all the 35-pound belts, and he's with Top Rank.
Top Rank also has a lot of 30-pound champions and 35-pound fighters. They also have Lomachenko, who I've always fancied a Lomachenko fight for Richard. I always believed, and unfortunately I was right, that the most difficult fight for Richard in that division was going to be Teofimo. But we made a very good deal with Top Rank that was predicated on eventually fighting Teofimo. And they honored their deal, and we honored our deal, and Richard got caught. Great champions get caught. Ask Lennox Lewis. It happens. I think what Richard proved the other night against a legitimate top 10 guy who should have been undefeated going into that fight. I mean, he got robbed in his only loss, but he dominated that guy, knocked him out, and proved that, okay, he got caught, but he's still the same dangerous, heavy punching, one punch knockout artist that he was prior to the Teofimo fight. He's a Devin Haney fight, a fight with Ryan Garcia, a Jorge Linares fight, a Lomachenko fight. Those are all big fights that Richard could win. Also, I don't think Teofimo is going to stay at 135 very long. I would guess and bet that by the end of the year, he's left the division. At that point, 4 belts open up. And I have no doubt in my mind Richard will win one of them when that happens. So I think actually Richard, look, the whole thing people have to realize right now, and I think that Richard proved it the other night, and he's had a number of performances in front of a lot of people on ESPN, and he's won 3 out of 4 in sensational fashion. And, Richard's a commodity himself. He's not just an opponent. He's one of the best 35-pounders in the world. So I think that he's going to have, I think there are going to be a lot of possibilities out there for Richard in the year ahead. And that we're going to, he just fought that past weekend, and we're going to, take a breather and take a look around and see what's out there for him. He's a free agent. Promotionally, he's with me, and he has management, but he's a free agent in terms of network or streaming service. So we're free to do the best thing that's available. Top Rank lived up to their deal, and the deal worked well for both of us. So I think we will certainly talk to Top Rank. But we're going to pursue the best opportunities that are out there. Also, Richard's not only oriented by money; he's oriented by legacy, and he understands the importance to his country of him being a world champion. So he's really very much focused on winning another world title, even more than he's focused on making the biggest money fight. So I have to honor his wishes also. So I'm letting him enjoy this right now, spend some time with his wife and new baby, and next week or 2 we'll get together and start talking in more detail.
Great to hear. Well, Lou, I hope you have a great week going forward. I'll find out next week, so fingers crossed. It's always better to have a happy Lou DiBella. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's better for content to not have a happy Lou DiBella.
I prefer a happy Lou DiBella. Have a good week, my friend. Be good.
And you. Take care, Lou.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.